If you're over 55, what you reheat for dinner could quietly shape your health more than you think. Oatmeal, a daily bowl of gut-friendly gold. Oatmeal has always been one of my comfort foods. There's something about a warm bowl in the morning that just feels right. But what I didn't realize until recently is that reheating oatmeal doesn't just make it more convenient, it actually makes it more beneficial. When you cook oats and then cool them down, they develop something called resistant starch. That's a type of fiber that your body doesn't digest the usual way. Instead, it passes to your gut and becomes food for the good bacteria down there. When you reheat it, those resistant starches stick around, helping to reduce blood sugar spikes and even lower inflammation. And if you're anything like me, stable energy and smoother digestion are priceless. I love mixing in a few walnuts or blueberries, maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon. It's gentle, warm, and full of nutrients like beta-glucan, which supports heart health. I now make extra oatmeal on purpose, just so I can reheat it the next morning. It's one of the easiest, healthiest habits I've adopted in my 60s. Vegetable soup, more nutritious the next day. There's something almost magical about a pot of vegetable soup that's been sitting in the fridge overnight. I used to think leftovers were just that, leftovers. But reheated soup, it often feels like it got better while I slept. The reason is simple. When soup made with hearty vegetables like carrots, celery, spinach, or sweet potatoes sits for a while, the cell walls in the veggies start to break down. That means when you warm it back up, more of the nutrients, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients are released into the broth. I especially like to add turmeric, garlic, or parsley, which makes each spoonful even more healing. For someone managing joint pain, mild inflammation, or just the usual wear and tear of aging, this kind of anti-inflammatory meal can feel like medicine in a bowl. And when my appetite's not great, soup is easy. Reheated soup doesn't just nourish the body, it soothes the soul. Brown rice, stable energy in a warm bowl. Brown rice is one of those humble foods that doesn't draw a lot of attention. But for me, it's been a quiet game changer. Like oatmeal, brown rice forms resistant starch when it's cooled and then reheated. That means it helps keep my digestion smooth and my blood sugar steady, especially important as insulin sensitivity naturally declines with age. But the benefits go beyond digestion. Brown rice is loaded with magnesium, B vitamins, and fiber, nutrients that support nerve health, heart rhythm, and muscle relaxation. I usually make a big batch at the beginning of the week, store it in the fridge, and reheat small portions with steamed veggies or a drizzle of olive oil. There's something deeply grounding about brown rice. It doesn't spike my energy and crash it later. It sustains me. And for anyone navigating senior life with its daily demands and shifting energy levels, that kind of reliable fuel really matters. Legume-based dishes, beans that build you up. Here's another one I always feel good about reheating. Beans, lentils, black beans, chickpeas. Any legume-based dish seems to improve overnight. And yes, there's a science to it. When cooked beans cool down, they develop, you guessed it, resistant starch. That's a theme with foods that age well in the fridge. And like the others, reheating doesn't destroy that benefit. These starches support gut health, slow down sugar absorption, and help regulate cholesterol. Plus, beans are rich in protein and fiber, two things that help me feel full longer and keep my digestion regular without being too heavy. I'll reheat a lentil stew or black bean chili any day of the week. It's economical, nutritious, and so forgiving on my digestion. Steamed leafy greens, reheat for gentle strength. Now this might surprise you, but certain leafy greens, when gently steamed and then reheated, actually become more digestible. I'm talking about spinach, kale, Swiss chard. Raw, they can be a bit harsh on an older stomach, but steam them, let them rest, and reheat the next day, and they become easier on the system while still packing in the nutrients. I like to reheat greens with a splash of olive oil and a pinch of sea salt. The flavor deepens, and so do the benefits. You're still getting all that iron, folate, and vitamin K, but in a form your body's more likely to absorb and appreciate. I eat them with eggs or grains or just on their own. It's a small step with a big payoff. Now let's talk about the other side. The foods that might look safe in your fridge, but become less kind with a second round of heat. These are the 5 foods I never reheat anymore. Cooked mushrooms, not worth the risk. I used to love sautéed mushrooms, still do, fresh, but reheated, I stay far away. Mushrooms are delicate. They contain proteins and amino acids that break down quickly. Once cooked, cooled, and reheated, those proteins can restructure in ways that aren't easy to digest. For someone with a slower gut, like me, that means bloating and discomfort. Even worse, mushrooms cooked in oil or butter and left at room temperature too long can become hosts for bacteria like Clostridium botulinum, something you really don't want in your system. The risk might seem small, but for seniors with weakened digestion or immunity, it's just not worth it. I eat mushrooms fresh and enjoy them once. Eggs, one meal, not two. Eggs are nutritional powerhouses when cooked fresh, but once reheated, especially if scrambled or fried in oil, they turn into something my stomach just can't handle. The proteins harden and the fats oxidize, forming compounds that don't just affect digestion, they may contribute to inflammation and heart strain. I've learned the hard way that reheated eggs make me feel off, sluggish, heavy, sometimes even a bit foggy. So now I enjoy them right after cooking, boiled, poached, or gently scrambled, and I toss any extras. I'd rather crack a new egg than deal with the side effects of a reheated one. White potatoes, spikes that steal energy. I know it's tough to hear because potatoes are comfort food. Mashed, roasted, fried. They're part of so many happy memories. But white potatoes are high glycemic. That means they already spike blood sugar when freshly cooked. And when they're reheated, especially in fat or in plastic containers, they can become even more problematic. I used to wonder why I'd feel so sleepy or stiff after eating leftover mashed potatoes. Turns out, the reheating process can amplify their impact on blood sugar, triggering fatigue, numbness in the legs, and even inflammation. And let's not forget, heating food in plastic? That can introduce chemicals like BPA, which mess with hormones and heart health. I still enjoy potatoes, but only fresh and in moderation. I've replaced a lot of them with sweet potatoes or squash, which are more forgiving. Fried foods, tasty but toxic when reheated. This one stings. I've had many leftover fries, crispy chicken pieces, even breaded fish reheated in the oven or microwave. But as I've gotten older and wiser, I've noticed they never sit right, and now I know why. Reheating fried foods causes the oils to oxidize. That creates compounds linked to heart strain, inflammation, and even nerve damage over time. It's not just about calories or fat content, it's about what those fats turn into when reheated. I enjoy a fresh fried treat now and then, but I never reheat it. If it's not eaten right away, it's not eaten at all. I've noticed that even the texture changes. It's no longer crispy, just greasy and heavy. And that heaviness isn't just on the plate, it shows up in my energy levels for hours afterward. Sometimes I'd feel a little foggy or sluggish and didn't connect the dots until much later. Now I've made peace with letting those leftovers go. I remind myself that enjoying something once is enough, and my body always thanks me for it. Spinach, when already cooked and stored improperly. Now, I know I said leafy greens are good when steamed and gently reheated, and that's true, but spinach that's been cooked, stored improperly, and then reheated at high temps, that's a different story. Spinach contains nitrates, which are usually harmless, but when they're reheated, especially in a microwave or at high heat, those nitrates can convert into nitrites, compounds that may pose health risks, especially for older adults with circulatory or immune concerns. So for me, if I steam spinach and store it properly, I'll gently reheat it once, but I don't microwave it or leave it sitting out. Fresh is always best with this one, and honestly, it's not just about the science, it's about how it makes me feel afterward. Whenever I've reheated spinach carelessly, I've noticed a slight metallic aftertaste and a bit of digestive unease. That's my body telling me something's off. I've learned to trust that signal. These days, I portion out only what I need, store it in glass containers, and avoid heating it too quickly. A low, gentle reheat on the stove with a little water or olive oil is all it needs. That way, I still get the nutrients without inviting unwanted side effects. I've come to see that food isn't just about fuel or flavor, it's about how it makes me feel, how it supports me, or how it quietly chips away at my strength. At this stage in life, I don't have time for meals that betray my body. That's why I've changed how I reheat. Some foods, like oatmeal, soups, beans, and brown rice, deserve a second warming. Others, like mushrooms, eggs, potatoes, and fried leftovers, get one chance, and that's it. Each meal is an opportunity to honor this body, this life, and this chapter. And every time I choose to reheat wisely, I'm not just saving time, I'm protecting my health, one bite at a time. If this helped you rethink your reheating habits, let me know in the comments. Type 1 if you learned something new, or 0 if you have suggestions. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another health tip made just for our journey through the best years of life. Thanks for spending this time with me, and here's to every meal that brings you comfort, strength, and clarity.